Greetings, lords and ladies. Welcome to the Westeros Vibe, where dead men tell no tales. Unless they are north of the wall, or you've had too much Dornish red. Our first news story bravely goes where everybody has gone this week, by asking the question, is Kit Harington's hair a clue to Game of Thrones? Kit Harington, for those of you who just can't be bothered with the Game of Thrones phenomenon, is the actor who plays Jon Snow who, spoiler alert, was stabbed by so many of his mates that they had to queue. So the story is that Kit was observing a tennis match in the company of his world-renowned hair, who by now is basically its own show character. This has led to speculation that he didn't cut his dreamy curls because Jon Snow will do a Beric and rise from the dead after mouth-to-mouth from Melisandre, probably the second most hated character in the show. Or, here is another explanation. He likes it. After so many years of nurturing it, he may have formed an emotional attachment to it. Or perhaps the hair has gained sentience, and it would be morally wrong to kill it. Or a more cynical explanation is that he knew that people will speculate on this topic, thus generating hundreds of news stories featuring him. Way to go, journalists, you've played right into the bastard's hands. As a follow-up piece to this one, we have: did Game of Thrones Kit Harington accidentally confirm the Grand Northern Conspiracy? Apart from the obvious fact that it might spoil Jon Snow's return, they went a step further and tied it in with the Great Northern Conspiracy theory following this casting call. Lord of Noble Northern House, casting age anywhere between 25 and 50. The Lord is a savage warrior and he rules a distinguished house in the very far north. As the role is said to be an impactful one, he's described as a massive bear of a man, with a beard and temper to match, and hatred that run deep, and he can be violent. The show's looking for someone with a powerful physique, who can tower over the cast members, a northern English accent, and specifies he has to be at least 180 centimeters tall. The role will be on 2 episodes. In the article they speculate that this will be Lord Manderly, who in the books is a whale of a man, but highly intelligent and quite the schemer. However, judging by this description, a bear of a man in the far north, I suspect it will be an Umber, which presumably will tie in with Theon and Sansa's story. In other news, fans queue for hours in Spanish casting call for Season 6. People just can't wait to be eviscerated, can they? In other Season 6 news, new Game of Thrones director promises to make meal of Season 6. Former Lost director James Bender has joined the fray and will direct episodes 5 and 6, which presumably means that they will be filled with flashbacks that try desperately to create a parallel to what's going on in the show, eventually leading to time travel shenanigans. More Season 6 news, filming confirmed to take place in Elmira. More specifically, it will take place inside a fort. The article throws around a couple of possibilities, namely Old Town, Dorne, or some city where Dany will be taken. I would say that the most likely location is Dorne, namely Starfall, the seat of House Dayne, which would make sense if the casting call for a great fighter is for Arthur Dayne, the Sword of the Morning. I for one really hope that they will go in this direction, because the Daynes are just an awesome house. In a not so Season 6 related story, Game of Thrones and Frozen are changing how we name our children. Namely, Aryas and Elsas are becoming more and more popular. Elsa I understand because she is of course the Disney princess of the moment, but Arya? Why would anyone name their child after a traumatized girl who kills without remorse, joins the death cult, tortures and kills a guy in a very sadistic way, and ends the season visually impaired? In other more spoilery news, for the upteenth time it has been confirmed that Stannis is indeed dead. Same justification as before as to why we didn't get to see it, because it would have been too gratuitous. Remember kids, watching a guy getting tortured for an entire season is alright, but showing the big farewell of a fan favorite character, up until the final 2 episodes at least, would be way too gratuitous and unnecessary. That seems like a fair and valid argument. The next article is more of a speculation piece. Don't assume Daenerys will actually beat the White Walkers. It deals with the fact that George R. Martin, being who he is, will unlikely provide a cuddly Tolkien-esque ending where Dany marries Jon and gets the throne, Tyrion becomes Hand, Ned comes back to life, and Benjen shows up in the epilogue asking if he missed anything. It puts forward the idea that defeat is always an option within this world, especially considering the disharmony between Dany's arrival and the establishment, who will probably fight her at every turn. Sure, there are theories and theories about how the Brotherhood is preparing the Riverlands for a Targaryen restoration, and about how Bran will reveal to the world Jon's parentage, and somehow everybody will just be okay with Rhaegar's secret bastard, newly resurrected, sitting the Iron Throne and becoming Azor Ahai via getting the Dawn Sword from the Danes, which will turn out to be Lightbringer. However, there are stories about how George has revealed that the end of the story will be a bittersweet moment. That should give everyone hope. There will be casualties by the castle load, no doubt. Fan favorites will probably die. However, at the end of the story, some will persevere and go forth into a world shaped by massive conflicts and filled with crow fodder. The last story of this week deals with the Game of Thrones panel at Comic-Con. Is this the real reason the Game of Thrones panel was extra secretive at Comic-Con this year? It puts forward the theory that the reason why the A-Team, aka Tyrion, Dany, Jon, Cersei, and also Dan, Dave, and George, weren't invited is to avoid even the remote possibility of spoiling the 6th book and season. Of course, Dan, Dave, and George know exactly what is going to happen. However, it's possible that these main characters were told at least snippets of their fates next book/season. The writer of this piece views this as Dan and Dave letting George drive the narrative one last time with Winds of Winter, which hopefully will come out before season 6, before they overtake him with season 7. That is the news for the week ending on July 12th. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share, comment and subscribe, and stay tuned because I will do my best to make this a weekly show. Goodbye.